Hi guys! Today I'm going to be doing a video about my favourite childhood books. I absolutely loved reading as a child. I've always loved reading, so I thought I would share with you a few of the books that I just read constantly when I was growing up. I'm just going to jump straight into it and show you the book that I think was the very first book I ever read, and it is the Osborne book of My First Word. This book was probably, I say the first book I read, you can't technically read this because it literally is just, it's just pages of like pictures of animals and stuff, but I absolutely loved it. I just loved kind of, even when I was a baby, I just loved the motion of like page turning. But my favourite pages, I can remember even now, were the egg for some reason and the lift. The food bit is sellotapes because I used to read it so much and I ripped it. The next book I chose is the Famous Five book. This one is really beat up, as you can probably tell. Yeah, it doesn't even have a blurb on it. I think there's such good stories, just really good kind of family stories about adventure, and I just absolutely adore the Famous Five. Anything Enid Blyton as well is just amazing. This one was my kind of first reading book. My mum used to read it to me, and then when I got a bit older I used to read it myself, and it is George Speaks by Dick Kingsmith. I can't really remember much about the story other than it's about a baby who starts speaking to his older sister in just like this really, I kind of always imagined it as like this really old English tone, like, "Ooh, hello sister," because I had a younger brother and I just used to think how cool that would be if my younger brother started talking to me. Now I wish he would shut up, to be honest, but at the time I thought it'd be really cool if my brother spoke to me. I recommend it if you have children, I guess. Oh, this book is for confident readers, so my mum must have had some faith in me anyway. The next book I chose is also very beaten up, and it is Ruby Red Tales from the Weedwater by Henrietta Branford. I used to read this book daily as well. The pictures in it are beautiful, you can kind of see the old style drawings in there. Again, text is huge, but I absolutely loved it. The fact that she had the same name as me was just a bonus point. She was just everything I could ever want in a character from a book. Well, moving on to kind of late childhood, maybe 9 or 10 now, and I chose The Dancing Bear by Michael Morphugo. Again, can't really remember what it's about. All I remember about it is that it's sad at the end. Anything Michael Morphugo-ish was amazing. I loved Michael Morphugo. War Horse is a favourite of mine, and this one I think is the best. The next book I chose is The Witches by Roald Dahl. You can swap this book for any of Roald Dahl's really. I just remember liking this one a whole lot. I also loved George's Marvellous Medicine, just because I used to dream of doing that to my grandma. I'd still do that to my grandma, to be honest. The witches were really creepy, the fact that they had no hair and kind of pretended to be really nice women and they were just like eating children, and it's just everything amazing about children's writing. I know I always have the discussion with my mum that she absolutely hates Roald Dahl. She hates kind of the made up language that he uses, like schnibble bobble or whatever he uses, but I always say that that's why children like him so much, is the stupid like language he uses and the grossness of it and all the fat horrible characters like the twits and stuff. That's why children like it, and she just doesn't understand. The next book I chose was Sleepovers by Jacqueline Wilson. I had to get a Jacqueline Wilson in there somewhere, but I used to love it, and I think it was because the horrible girl in it used to remind me of a horrible girl at school, and yeah, I just felt like I was the main character, so I guess I related to her a little bit. I think this was probably my favourite, even though it's like one of the lesser known books. The next book I chose was The Swap by George Layton. My teacher actually introduced me to it in year 6, so I was about 10 or 11 when I read this. It's set in the north and it's about a little northern boy called... Oh, you never actually find out what his name is. I've just remembered that. It's a series of short stories and I just loved it. The boy felt so real and believable, and I really loved it a whole lot. I can't remember kind of the time period it's set in. I think it's the 60s. That's probably really wrong. I've probably just put that out of thin air. And finally, I have to mention Molly Moon's book of Hypnotism by Georgia Bing. This book is incredible. I absolutely adored it. Again, read it in year 6, so I was about 10 or 11, and I adored it. It was so good. It's about an orphan called Molly Moon who finds out she is able to hypnotise people, and she has this gift, and she goes to New York looking for fame and fortune. The cover alone is absolutely awesome, and yeah, I just love everything about this book. Molly Moon is a really good character. I do actually have a couple of the sequels here, but I never really bought them until I was too old to read them. And I got these and then I never read them, and now I feel like I'm too old to read them, and I can't really remember the story of the first one, so it's such a shame that these are just sitting there on my shelf, but the covers are so shiny. So they are just a few of my favourite childhood books. I didn't mention Harry Potter. I don't think it needed saying really that I liked Harry Potter, because everybody did. Make sure you leave a comment below telling me your favourite childhood books, or even better, leave me a video response, because I'd love to see some of your favourite childhood books. Anyway, that's all from me. I hope you're having a very good week, and I will see you later. Bye!